And do you, when you write, do you, because I often will just throw myself into writing to get ideas, but do you plan when you write? Do you structure things before you write? And do you do ideas emerge when you're writing, or do you kind of have them in your head and then put them on paper? Or
I think the least successful of my writing is when it's mechanical and you kind of have a structure and you stick to it, and you're not really creative with what you're doing. It's very difficult just to plunge head on into it like you might do, Joe, and kind of I need a sense of a starting point, as in a little bit of a thread to unravel, just to kind of a starting idea. So I need that, really. And I often do write out structures, partly with regard to organising research materials. That's the kind of thing where, you know, thinking, oh, what bits of my argument do I need to refer to different kind of other critics or writers or authors or theorists. I think those things are really important for the writing to have a kind of life, I think, really. A lot of academic writing that you read it does feel very mechanical. It's a bit joyless and dry, and there's not much sense of movement or of thought, you know, kind of dancing along, which is kind of what you want, really. The best academic writers can be, you know, they make your head spin because there's so much life, you know, kind of in those writings. But I'm not sure that's always encouraged.
No, and I think that liveliness, or the life that you can often find, is often when people are just quite straightforward as well. So it's a weird mixture that it's not about being clever or doing something really bizarre. It can just be being yourself, or having a kind of voice and putting things in a kind of clear, straightforward way. So it doesn't, I mean, it takes different forms, doesn't it? There's no one way of doing it, but often it can just be that really clear, straightforward sense of someone's voice coming out that can really be quite striking. I mean, I don't normally structure or plan, but for a recent piece of writing, for a book that Brian and I both had chapters in, a book called Sandscapes, which I co-edited with somebody else. It was a book about sandy beaches and kind of the sandscape of the shoreline. And for that chapter, because we were thinking a lot about trying to be more creative, and it's that I have not in the past been a very creative writer. I'm very I write academic essays in a very kind of, you know, not formulaic, but they probably are the standard academic style. And for this, we're talking about sand as being kind of gritty and granular, and having writing that models and replicates that graininess and the shiftiness of sand and the movement. And so I was trying to push myself out of my kind of safe way of working. And I did structure, and I kind of wrote down, I think it was something like 8 sections of kind of related ideas to do with the thing I was writing about, and they were just like a sentence, really, and I just wrote it all down. I think I just had this moment for inspiration, or I'd just been thinking about it, and I wrote it all down on a piece of paper and stuck it on my wall. And it was just kind of, you know, I think that one section was on roughness as a kind of class title, one was the roughness of the sand itself, one was about the Midland Hotel and its smoothness. So I just kind of had these sections, and I found that really helpful, and I found it quite generative. You know, it was a really useful way of having this loose plan. And then I did move them around, actually, and they weren't, and I changed a couple of them and did something different. So it wasn't like I wasn't particularly stuck to it, but I did find it a really good new way of working, and I was surprised myself, you know, that I could be more creative than I had hitherto anticipated. Yes, it was good.